Ladies and gentlemen, it's Teaksy here. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and opinions on whether or not I think Modern Warfare 3 is still worth playing and or buying in 2025. Now, I appreciate that the game is going to be 2 years old in the not too distant future and Black Ops 7 is on the way. However, the next Modern Warfare installment is not until 2026, and I do believe that Modern Warfare 3 is an incredibly underrated Call of Duty title, which I do believe 100% is worth playing, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time in this video explaining why, and there are timestamps in the description below if there's anything in particular that you want to hear about. So firstly, I want to talk about the maps, because I feel like the maps were a huge issue at the launch of MW3, because the map pool was just the Modern Warfare 2 original release maps only, and very quickly we realized, one, how many of these maps didn't play very well in Modern Warfare 3, but two, how many of the maps generally just weren't that great. And you know, we then ended up playing, you know, the same maps over and over again, you know, your high rises, your terminals, your scrap yards, and it just became very stale very quickly. However, over time, Sledgehammer did some awesome work with the maps in this game. Some of the best maps we've seen added to COD in many years, such as 6-Star, Rio, Vista, Paris, Tokyo, Yard, Bait, just to name a few. They were classic 3-lane maps. They were very vibrant, and Sledgehammer absolutely smashed it out of the park with this game. And don't get me wrong, the map pool in MW3 now is absolutely huge. Like, there's so many maps in the game, but with map voting, more often than not, you will end up with a decent map. And yeah, there were some absolute corkers in this game that I do hope we see return in future Call of Duties. So next, very briefly, wanted to talk about skill-based matchmaking. I did a video on this the other day if you want to see me talk in more detail, but skill-based matchmaking is a lot less strict in MW3 now. We see it in every Call of Duty, right? Once the player count drops and less players are playing the game, the matchmaking becomes a lot kinder. Doesn't mean that you're always going to get easy games. It doesn't mean that every day is going to be a walk in the park, but it does make the matchmaking feel a lot more like the good old days, a lot more variation. You never really know what you're going to get. Definitely feels a lot less manipulated, and I think that always helps you enjoy the Call of Duty experience. So next up, we've got movement, gunplay, and the Gunsmith. So the movement on this game was incredibly fluid. It was so smooth and so responsive. It did have tactical sprint, which, you know, I'm not a big fan of tac sprint, but I could kind of look over it in this game because I did think the movement was very good. It was fast, but it didn't feel too fast, right? You know, it kind of allowed for that skill gap, but it was not quite as crazy as Black Ops 6, right? I think with Black Ops 6, the movement is so fast and the sliding is so fast that, you know, you just feel like you get cameraed a lot, your aim gets put off. Like, there's just some crazy character movement as well in Black Ops 6, and I feel like MW3 just found that kind of perfect balance. The gunplay was really fun in this game, and there were various different unique weapons that you could use in the game. The Gunsmith was a little bit complicated just because there were so many attachments in this game, right? You know, almost too many, because they had the MW2 and MW3 attachments. However, it did allow for various different weapon builds, and conversion kits also allowed for some really fun weapon variations where you could kind of turn an AR into a sub or vice versa. There were also plenty of camos to grind in this game. You had the mastery camos, but you also had the prestige camos, and the really cool thing about the prestige camos is you could make progress towards those camos without having to get the mastery camo. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to sit around doing all the challenges for the mastery camos, you can still unlock the prestige camos by using your favorite weapon and just getting XP. And I felt like that was a really good balance where you had the mastery there if you wanted to grind, but you also had the prestige camo and it didn't force you to get the mastery camo first. The player count, we do not have official numbers, but you can still find lobbies fairly easy on MW3 across the majority of the main game modes, you know, which is always really decent, right? You know, the matchmaking and the time to find lobbies in this game, considering MW3 is into its second year, is really not too bad. I'm not convinced you can play as many modes on this game as you can on Black Ops Cold War, for example, but you can still play across all of the main game modes. It doesn't take too long to find lobbies, and that is always very good. Now on to just some various bits and pieces. So the TTK was very decent in MW3. It felt like it was a little bit faster than Cold War, but it wasn't absolutely ridiculous like some of the other Modern Warfare games we've seen. There were a decent set of kill streaks which also overlapped, which allowed you to just keep streaking and definitely made chasing nukes fun, right? If you went on like a 12 spree, you'd get an advanced UAV, you'd then reset, go on another 12 spree, you'd get a second advanced UAV. And I feel like, you know, overlapping streaks is, you know, always been something that I think is really good in Call of Duty. You know, you don't have to die just to, you know, because there's nothing worse, right, than when you're on a good streak, but everything in you is like, I kind of really need to die so I can work back towards my kill streaks. Whereas in MW3, you didn't have to worry about that, and I thought that was really decent. And like I say, chasing nukes, trying to get that second advanced UAV, and then knowing you're like 5 or 6 kills away, really made for some awesome moments. Red dots on the minimap, I know it sounds like a bit of a stupid thing to say, but they were there in MW3, and the overall layout in the game is actually pretty decent, and calling cards in the top corner for like streaks and capping flags and planting bombs. I know it's a little thing, but for me, I think it's always a positive. The stats breakdown on this game as well was completely out of this world. Probably one of the best I've ever seen in a Call of Duty title. You can see it across multiple maps, broken down by game mode, your win-loss, your KD, which I thought was a really, really nice feature. And yeah, I just think, I know not everybody's maybe into stats, but I thought it was a positive of Modern Warfare 3. In pubs as well, there were no issues really with cheating as far as I've experienced. You know, I think when you play COD these days, you can never fully know, but I think the multiplayer sort of pub scene was pretty safe, as it has been for many years now. You know, you do get some, but it's nowhere near as bad as what you see in like Ranked Play and Warzone. Of course, skins and bundles did exist in MW3, but they're not exactly being pushed out now, right? Because the game isn't really getting supported anymore, so you don't have to worry about having loads of new skins and bundles thrown at you. And there also wasn't too many over-the-top skins in MW3, which I think helps keep that kind of realism, or not even really keep the realism. It's just ridiculous, right? When you get Black Ops 6 and you've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles running around that, it just seems a bit stupid. So overall, as I said at the start, I 100% think that it is worth playing Modern Warfare 3 if you already own the game. The game is also on the Game Pass, so if you subscribe to that subscription, you can try this game out for free, right? You don't even have to take a risk of buying it, and I think it's definitely worth doing that. When it comes to buying the game, I think this is where you've really got to consider, one, do you like kind of what I've said in this kind of, you know, video, and when you watch Modern Warfare 3 videos, does it look like the sort of game you'd enjoy playing? What kind of price are you paying for it? And secondly, are you planning on getting Black Ops 7? If you're going to wait until Modern Warfare next year, you've got a really long period of time to cover, so you could probably grind MW3 for a year, at which point you might be prepared to pay a little bit more. So yeah, I think the game's definitely worth playing. I think it is worth buying if you think it's something you're going to like, because like I say, I think a lot of people hated on this game because of the way it kind of released. But again, you just kind of have to consider the price you're paying, and that I feel like that's the kind of thing that you can only make up on a personal level. As I say, MW3 in my opinion suffered similar to Cold War and how it was released. They suffered for completely different reasons, but I feel like people just got it in their head that this game was not worth buying, you know, as a way to get back at Activision for pretty much charging us full price for what was basically DLC. But trust me, this game got such good post-launch support, so many good maps, so many good weapons, good movement, you know, good gunplay. It's really, really fun to play, and definitely one of the best Call of Duties we've had in many, many years. And that is why I felt like it was worth doing this video, because I believe this game deserves as much love as I've shown Black Ops Cold War in the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. If you found today's video useful, please do hit the like button down below, and please feel free to share your thoughts down in the comment section, positive or negative, to try and paint the most honest picture that we can of MW3 in 2025. If you're brand new around here and want to find your way back for more, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, guys, I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.